Evelyn's house sat quietly on the edge of the forest, its old wooden planks creaking softly beneath the weight of years. The neighborhood was mostly quiet after sunset, but Evelyn always felt a strange pull when the woods grew dark. Tonight, the moon was full and bright, casting long, eerie shadows that danced across her windows. She had heard the stories. Whispers at school about skinwalkers, mysterious creatures said to mimic human forms and stalk the night. And though she dismissed them as childish superstitions, an unease had settled deep in her bones that she couldn't quite shake. Her parents were out for the evening, leaving her alone with nothing but her cat, Juniper, as company. Evelyn curled up on the couch with a book, trying to ignore the tingling sensation parked at the back of her mind. But as midnight approached, an uneasy silence fell over the house, broken only by the occasional rustling in the woods beyond her window. Suddenly, Juniper's fur prickled, and she hissed, her green eyes fixed on the forest. Evelyn looked up, her heart pounding. Something was wrong. The shadows outside seemed to twitch and shift, as if alive. A faint scratching sound came from the back door. Evelyn froze, her pulse pounding in her ears. Was it her imagination? She hesitated, then slowly approached, peeking through the peephole. For a moment, she saw nothing. Then, a shape, slightly too tall, too thin, stretched into view. It was hunched over, moving on all fours at first before slowly rising to stand upright. Evelyn's breath hitched. The figure was humanoid, but wrong. A hideous, malformed face flickered in and out of her line of sight, eyes like black pits, lips pulled back in a crooked smile, sharp teeth glinting. She stumbled back, her mind racing. Skinwalkers. The stories were true. They could mimic any human, but there was something wrong. The unnatural way they moved, the eyes that never quite matched. Was it at her door? Was it trying to get in? A sudden, loud thud made her jump. Juniper hissed and darted under the couch. Evelyn's hands trembled as she tried to steady herself. She remembered an old tale her grandmother once told her. If you see a skinwalker, don't make eye contact, don't turn your back, and don't show fear. It feeds on those emotions. Slowly, she backed away from the door, clutching her phone, desperately wishing for help. She pressed the emergency button, but for a second, she thought she saw the figure outside, just a silhouette now, blending into the darkness. Then she saw another, more shadows, more shapes, creeping closer. The woods seemed to breathe, alive with sinister intent. Her dad's voice echoed in her mind. Stay inside, lock the doors, and stay away from the windows. She hurried to lock the front door and then darted to the back. But the windows, she realized, were the most dangerous. The figure might be able to see her or manipulate her reflection. Panicking, she scrambled to cover the windows with thick blankets. The house grew eerily silent except for the faint, otherworldly shuffling outside. Then, a whisper. A voice, faint, like the rustling leaves but with an unnatural edge. Come out, Evelyn. I want to play. She froze. How did it know her name? The voice sounded close, too close. She wanted to scream but no sound escaped. Her mind raced to remember everything she'd ever heard about skinwalkers, how they could imitate voices, lure victims outside, where they could trap or harm them. A sudden scraping at the window shattered her resolve. She backed away, heart pounding in her chest. The glass spider webbed with cracks. From the darkness emerged a figure, a tall, twisted version of a person. Its face flickered like a faulty television, sometimes human, sometimes monstrous, with eyes that burned like coals. It stared at her, mimicking her own fear. No, she whispered, voice trembling. This isn't real. This isn't real. The creature tilted its head, the crooked smile growing wider. Then, it moved, limping closer. Evelyn knew she had to think fast. Skinwalkers thrived on fear, but they also avoided strong willpower. She remembered another legend. Sunlight or fire could repel them, but it was late, and her house was dark apart from the moonlight that cast long, demonic shadows. She spotted the kitchen matches in the cutlery drawer. Clenching her fists, she snatched the box and grabbed a nearby candle, lighting it with trembling hands. Holding the flame high, she spoke aloud, trying to sound brave, even as her voice quivered. Leave me alone. You're not real. For a moment, the creature paused, studying her with an expression that seemed almost calculating. Then, it retreated into the shadows, slinking away from the light, its form flickering like a dying flame. Evelyn didn't wait. She pushed the door open and bolted outside, the scent of burnt wood lingering in her nostrils. She ran, heart pounding, until she reached her neighbor's house and pounded on the door. Mr. Carter, an older man with a weathered face, answered quickly. Seeing Evelyn's panicked state, he ushered her inside and called the police. When the authorities arrived, they found no trace of anyone outside, no footprints, no signs of forced entry. The woods remained silent, the shadows lifeless once more. But Evelyn knew better. She hadn't just seen something, she had seen a creature unnaturally shaped and stretching the limits of what's real. The stories about skinwalkers weren't just stories. They were warning. Even now, sitting quietly in her room, she could feel the faint brush of cold wind against her window, a whisper at the back of her mind, taunting, reminding her that some things lurk just beyond the veil of our understanding, waiting for the night to fall again.